Hi everyone, my name is Emma. Now, as some of you might know, November is Diabetes Awareness Month, and more specifically, the 14th is Diabetes Awareness Day. And for those of you who don't know, I have type 1 diabetes, so I want to share what my story has been like. Now, before I jump into doing this video, I do want to give two different disclaimers. The first one being, I am not a doctor. This is just what I have been through. Do not take this as medical advice in any kind of way. And the second disclaimer is, I will be talking about needles and possibly blood in this video, so you have been warned now. So, I got diagnosed about a year and a half ago, but the story really starts in about March of 2022. I'm going to throw a reference picture of what I kind of looked like at the beginning of this. I will say it is important a bit later, just because you'll see I look sick later on and I want to show photos. But back in March of 2022, I noticed that I started to lose a lot of hair. Now, I had thick hair, so it didn't look like I was losing that much, but whenever I went to go brush my hair or wash it or even just touch it, clumps of hair would be coming out. Now, this is not a good thing, but I figured, winter was just ending, so maybe I was shedding a bit more than usual. And so I didn't really do much about it. And then fast forward to about mid-May of 2022, I ended up getting COVID. Now for me, I got hit pretty hard with COVID. I also have asthma, so the cough stuck around, so I was just overall not feeling great for about a week. And after that, I kind of got better, but I still wasn't feeling 100% or like myself. So I kind of just went on thinking that this was like aftermath of COVID until we went into June and I still wasn't doing great. In fact, I was doing worse. I was deteriorating by the day and I didn't know what was going on. So I started to go to doctors to figure out to see if something could be helped or changed to help me get better. So I did a couple different tests, had blood work done, but in between those days, it was rough. There would be days where climbing up into bed was even too much, so I would just lay on the ground, not being able to move. And here's the real kicker, I was drinking probably around 4 liters of water a day. Now, if you know anything about diabetes, when your blood sugar is really high, you get extremely thirsty. But for me, that wasn't really a concern because I didn't know anyone in my family with diabetes, so that wasn't a thought that I had. Finally, we get to about, I think it was, June 8th of 2022 when I go back to my doctor's after a blood test. And that's when she tells me I have diabetes. Now, some of you might know this feeling, but my world just kind of shut down around me. I didn't know what to do at that point because I didn't even suspect it, but she was telling me all this stuff. And we didn't know what type I was because that was a whole different blood test. So at that moment, I just knew I was diabetic. All they could give me that day was a fingerprint testing kit to test my blood sugars. And they also put me on a medicine called metformin. Now, metformin can be really useful towards type 2 diabetics who still produce some insulin. Because what metformin does is it tells your brain, hey, that insulin that your pancreas is producing, you should probably use that. Yeah. This is what I was looking like around that time. very sick. I had lost a ton of weight. My eyes had just been sunken in, and I was just not doing great overall. So I remember after leaving the doctors, after getting all this stuff, I got into my car and I called my mom. She was at work at this time, teaching in a classroom. And I called her and I was like, Mom, I'm diabetic. And immediately she could hear that I was about to cry. So she's like, I'm coming to get you now. Don't worry, we'll figure this out. Now, here's the real fun part. After doing that, I had to learn how to use a finger prick testing kit, which, if anyone knows me, I am terrified of needles. So trying to figure out how to do this was a real challenge. And I think I tried it maybe 3 times and I just couldn't get it because I kept squirming and I was getting so frustrated. So I left it, came back a little bit later, and finally got the finger prick testing kit to work. And my number was concerning. For normal people, their blood sugar is around a 4 to 6 is a typical level, like high 4s to low 6. That's a good range for people on a good day. Now, it does fluctuate depending on what you eat, but for a diabetic, the range that doctors would like to see us in is a 6 to a 7. My number on that day was an 18. And little did I know that from there, it would only get worse. Alright, this is how you do a finger prick test. So you put the little thing that you put your blood onto into the reader. It's time me to prick my finger now. So, I'm gonna push finger up. Ow! Squeeze out the blood. Tippy tap. And wait for the number to come up. 5.7. Okay, we're good. Look at that, we're good. Fast forward to July 1st. This is 3 days later. Me and my family are flying out to England. We had this trip planned like 2 years in advance, so there was no canceling it. And I was so excited for this trip, but I felt terrible. I felt constantly sick. I had no energy and just was not doing great. But we went on this trip anyways, and I went with my metformin and my finger prick testing kit and hope for the best. But to be honest, the metformin did nothing for me, because as I would later find out, I was type 1 diabetic, which I did not produce any insulin, so my number kept creeping higher and higher. I think at one point, my reader goes up to like a 30 for your blood sugar, and my blood sugar spiked past that and was too high for my reader to even see it. So, although I really enjoyed the trip, I was in such a crappy health position. And we also called doctors while we were over there because I was not doing well, and there was nothing that they could really do for us because we didn't know what type I was. The worst part for me was actually the week after we got back. That week after, my blood sugars were extremely high. I literally couldn't do anything. I was working 3 jobs at that point, and I remember calling in sick so many times just because I was not able to move or to do anything. Hi, editing Emma here. I just wanted to jump in real quick to kind of explain what was going on with me at that time. Because my blood sugar was so high at this point, I was in a state known as diabetic ketoacidosis. What this means was, because my blood sugars were so high for a prolonged period of time, my body was breaking down fat much faster than
want my liver to process, leading to higher amount of acid in my bloodstream, which could have led to death if I hadn't fixed it as soon as I did. So it could have led to me not being here today, but thankfully that didn't happen, and I got that fixed. Yeah, that's the story.
After my mom saw me like that, she immediately called to try and get me into a diabetes educational center, which would then help me start my journey on getting better. And I believe end of July, I got into a diabetes education clinic right by me with my wonderful nurse named Vicky. And that day that I met her, I got set up with a blood sugar reader, which I got the Libre Freestyle 2 sensor. And then I also got set up with my first dose of insulin. And immediately the next day, I was back to normal. My blood sugar was reading around a 6, and I had so much energy. I was back to my normal self. I felt so relieved. I also got set up with an endocrinologist. That is my main doctor who takes care of me. She's the one who every 3 months reads my blood sugars, tells me if I'm doing good, what I need to change, all that kind of stuff. So by August, I was feeling really good. I was having normal blood sugars, doing everything just right, and feeling great. I'll actually put a little video of me changing my sensor in here right now.
Okay, I'm also going to show you how I changed my sensor. So I just did the alcohol swab. Sanitary, I know. So we take this little thingamabobber, if it would come undone. Line it up. Push. Needle at the ready. Dry arm.
Now, I do hit a vein in that video, so I'm going to stop it there, just so that you don't have to see me or see the aftermath of that. Also, please don't do what I do in that video, because I use my teeth to open stuff, just because I was in a rush to film that for my friends. Don't do that. So let's fast forward to about mid-September. I get my call from my endocrinologist telling me that for sure I am type 1. Which is fantastic because I've been on insulin. So then most of my fall was spent trying to figure out the highs and lows of a blood sugar. And I am so thankful that I had my best friend with me in all my classes in university to help me through this time, because I don't think I would have survived without her. Especially, I remember back to this one day in class where my blood sugars were so low and I could not get them up. We spent the class sitting outside, just her helping me, going back and forth between the classroom and me, bringing me sugar, bringing me anything that could get my blood sugar up. It was bad, but also I'm so thankful that she was there to help me. Nothing else really interesting happens until about February of 2023. My body decides to go on a hunger strike, which is just fantastic. So at this point, I am on 2 different kinds of insulin. Novo Rapid, which I have to take with every kind of meal that I eat, like carbs in. And then the other one is Tragio, which is like a 24-hour long-lasting insulin. So I am injecting myself probably about 5 times a day with insulin. But when my body decides to go on a hunger strike, I'm not intaking very much food at all. So the amount of insulin that I take cuts back a ton. My numbers were great during this time because I wasn't really eating all that much carbs and stuff like that. This continues on for a long while, which was not a great time for me, But then beginning of March, I started dating someone, and he really helped me. In fact, about a week after we started dating, my hunger strike ended. So that lasted probably a good month, that hunger strike. But yeah, somehow he broke it, which was really nice for me. Once that hunger strike did finally end, though, my blood sugars went through the roof and I could not get them down. Luckily, I had an appointment with my nurse Vicky, and she was able, soon after that happened, and she was able to correct my dosages and help me bring that down, which was really great. Now, although my having an endocrinologist can be really helpful, mine wasn't the greatest. She refused to use technology. And let's just say the appointment that I had with her in June was probably the worst one yet, because up to this point, it was really only phone calls appointments. This one I actually went into, and she didn't like that I had recorded all my blood sugars on my app on my phone. She would not look at that. She only wanted paper. Just refused to look at that. Now, I'm not saying this is all endocrinologists. I'm just saying this is my experience with mine. She is a sweet lady, but she just would not look at my blood sugars. So she's like, you have to come back later with them written on paper. It's like, fine, whatever. But yeah, it's just can be quite frustrating sometimes. If any of you have had experience with doctors where they wouldn't listen to you or wouldn't look at a certain thing that you do was helping you. But I was super lucky to have my nurse Vicky, who listens to me and was actually quite helpful. Then, some more exciting news. August of this year, 2023, I got an insulin pump. And I also had to switch my sensor to Dexcom sensor to be compatible with it. But this insulin pump means that I don't have to use needles to inject myself with insulin anymore. I only have to change my site every 3 days. So I'm going from 5 needles a day to 1 every 3 days, which was fantastic for me. It's helped me so much, and it's like just life-changing, the technology that we have now. So about end of August I started that and my new sensor, which let's insert videos here now about what that kind of looked like.
Okay, wow. So the first thing that I got was when I went to go have my little information session with my nurse on Tuesday. She gave me my new sensor. So this is a Dexcom G6. I can't open it just because it's technically a tester one. It works properly, but like I think she called it a sample kit. Just because I didn't have a prescription yet for this, so hopefully that got filled yesterday so that I can go pick that up and then return this. If not, then I open it Monday morning before my pump appointment. So yes, that's my new sensor. It comes in a very big box. But then the next thing that I got was actually yesterday. It's this necklace. If it would hold still for 2 seconds. It's a little medical alert necklace with like my information on the back. Yeah, so I got that yesterday. And then this came this morning. So all the supplies for my pump. So first we got the needles that will actually be stuck on my skin, which will connect to the pump. So that's kind of scary and fun. Then we got the cartridges for in the pump. So this is what I fill up with insulin, and it can hold 3 milliliters or 300 units of insulin. So there's a couple of those. We got accessories and instructions, which include like the charger and whatnot. It's a heavy box. And then last but not least, we have the actual pump. So I'm probably gonna open some of this stuff and like read the instructions, but I can't actually use it until I see Vicky again, my nurse, on Monday. Just got back. So first, we got the new sensor on, which this is weird because the patch only lasts 10 days, but this chip lasts 3 months. So I have to change the pad every 10 days, but then I just pop the chip out and pop into the new one. So that's fun. Then, you ready? We got the system. So this one is the actual needle. This one is just to help keep some of the little tubing from being pulled out and whatnot. Then we have extra tubing that leads to my pump. So that's all on. I got like a whirlwind of like information how to do it. There's so many steps to set it up. Like, first of all, I got new insulin little containers that I then have to use a syringe to get all the insulin out. Then I put it into one of these cartridges, which then goes into my pump. Then I have to like fill the tubing and then put the needle in my skin. It's a lot.
So yeah, that is my insulin pump, and because she is stuck with me for life now, I have decided to name her Nancy. So Nancy keeps me on track. She yells at me when I forget to do stuff like give myself insulin, or if I let my blood sugar go too low. She keeps me on track. Okay, Nancy. But anyways, that has been my journey up to this point, and it's going well now. So, yeah. Please, if you enjoyed this, like the video, share the video. I just want to spread some awareness of what life with diabetes is like. So, feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.